Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Friday, the 26th day of January, year of our Lord 2018. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to get gas masks for every member of your team. It's one of the least exciting, least fun things that you can spend money on. Something I particularly don't care to spend money on myself, but I really see no alternative. There are some gas masks listed at my website under John's Survival and Tactical Gear, some high-quality, commercial-grade gas masks. Now, in case you haven't been in tear gas, I have several times. The first time that you get a lungful of tear gas, here's what your brain will be telling you. Your brain will be telling you, I'm going to die. This is it. It's over. The best analogy I can think of is, breathing gasoline that's on fire, because you will literally feel that your lungs are on fire. There will be no doubt in your mind that your lungs are on fire and you're going to die. That's the effect of tear gas the first time you're exposed to it. So that's a prep tip of the day. Get your gas masks. Get them now while you can. This is not the kind of thing you find at your local hardware store. It's easy to get now, but impossible to get during a crisis. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Tom Berryhill. Tom is a gentleman who began more than half a century ago his quest to become knowledgeable about radio communications. He became a ham radio operator, licensed ham radio operator, more than half a century ago. In the meantime, he's become very accomplished in radio frequency engineering, electronics, emergency communications, and related items. Good morning, Tom.
Hi, John. Good morning. How are you today?
Really good. Have you ever been in a tear gas attack?
No, John, but I'll tell you a quick story. In 1975, my younger brother went in the Army, and he was in basic training at Fort Knox. And I went down to visit him. I think I told you the story. They had just opened Interstate 64 going through southern Illinois, and I had a 73 Corvette, and I took that car down to Fort Knox to visit him going through southern Illinois. Early in the morning, that road was just open, no traffic, and I opened that car up. I had it up to 142 miles an hour, and the front end started getting kind of shaky. The car was lifting off the ground.
Well, you're about to get airborne there, yeah.
Yeah, just about. I've never gone that fast in a car since. I backed down from. They wanted to go faster, but I thought that was enough. Telephone poles were flashing by. It was interesting. But when I got down there, my brother told me that he was all the different things they were doing, and he said one of the things that he disliked the most was the tear gas training. They put their gas mask on, and everybody had to experience what it was like to properly fit that mask. And I think he said they went in some big room and they put tear gas in that room.
It's called a gas chamber. Yeah, that's where they went.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, and then they said, okay, now everybody take your mask off. And he said they learned real quick exactly what tear gas was like, and he says you always made sure your mask was fit right and you had it on properly. So they actually made those guys get a whiff of that, and he said it was absolutely horrible, just like what you explained, John. It was.
Well, they don't. Here, you're leaving out a critical part. You don't just take the mask off. You have to shout or yell something so you're forced to breathe. Otherwise, guys would just hold their breath. And another aspect of it is typically these training exercises take place in the morning within about 2 to 3 hours after a fresh shave, and that fresh shave burns. The tear gas makes the freshly shaved part of the face burn. So that was another aspect of it. Well, it's good training, and the second time you go through it, it's not so bad. The third time, it gets to be almost routine. But I don't know what they're doing now. But it was once a year. Every soldier in the U.S. Army had to go through that training once a year, every year, regardless of if they were in 2 years or 20 years. and I don't know what the current policy is on that. Okay,
another quick thing, John, and
ahead.
I've got to say this too about that Fort Knox. This was in the early fall of 1975, and I have to say that when we were down there, I was visiting my brother, and we walked past this large building, and there were some guys standing there with weapons. They were guarding this building, and I said, "What's that all about?" And he said, "Oh, that's where they keep all the gold." Except one of the officers told us, "We'll take turns guarding this thing. You may have to do this," he said, "but don't worry about it. There's no gold in there. It's all gone." That was 1975, so maybe some of your listeners will be interested in hearing that.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, Tom. There's different projects you've been working on. I know one that's near and dear to your heart is to fabricate a backpack-size two-way radio that would be good for talking long distance. And this would be, maybe it may take the form of a commercial product that you would be ready to sell. Is that where this is headed, Tom?
Yeah, that's exactly where it's headed, John. And I'll explain what I've done so far. I'm using the same thermoforming equipment, which basically shapes sheets of plastic into the desired shape. That's how the energy cleaner case is made. Using that same equipment and developing the molds to shape that plastic into a housing that will contain other equipment. Now, I will not be making the actual radio equipment, but my plan is to make these cases that will house small portable type radios. The one in mind would be a Yaesu FT817. That is a very, very nice small portable, very compact radio. It's only 5 watts of power, but that's sufficient for emergency communications in your local area and on a regional basis as well. This radio case that I'm working with will have room for that radio, an antenna tuner or antenna coupler, as they're also known as, and the battery pack, and maybe some other auxiliary equipment that you might need to work with your particular system. And that's the plan. I did build 3 prototypes, and 3 different people ended up with those. They really like it. So there's a few changes I have to make, and that's kind of where it's at right now. It's not gone too much farther than that. Oh. The idea is to, a lot of emergency systems, they'll be set up. Some people will carry them. You like those aluminum cases, John, to cart the equipment around. They're very, right. Very handy. But when you get out in the field and you have to plug this together and hook this, all these different things you have to do, I just thought it would be really good to fabricate something that would hold all of it in one case that's pretty much set up and ready to go. You might have the antenna wiring and other things that could be in an accessory package, which could even be attached to this case if you wanted to. The uniqueness about this is I will make it out of ABS thermoform plastic, and it may even have a polyurethane fill. So it might be a multiple layer type of thing with an internal space that's filled with polyurethane. That's how one of those 3 samples were made, and that seemed to be the strongest. And I'm telling you, strong enough to where you could almost drive a pickup truck over it. I was tempted to actually drive a half-ton Ford pickup over that case just to see what it would do. It's pretty rigid and very strong. So, and with it being ABS plastic, it's very simple to glue on other. You could make up other little cases and things to hold the antenna cables, or modify it to for whatever application you need. And ABS plastic is readily gluable. It's no big deal to put the glue and on the surface and attach other items, clips, brackets, whatever you need. It would work quite well. So that's the plan, and that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Well, say again for those who didn't get it the first time, the make and model of that radio.
Okay, that particular radio is a Yaesu FT817, and then there's also an ND behind it. I don't remember what that stands for. That's a later version. Some of the real early versions did not have the ND behind it, And they also had, some of the early ones did have some problems with the power amplifier transistors, would not be reliable enough. They're easily repaired. It's not a big deal. I would use either version. It wouldn't matter to me. But the ones that I have two of them, and they're the ND version. So it's a Yaesu FT817. If somebody goes online and searches out FT817, they'll find that radio. I mean, there's numerous pictures and websites showing what everybody's done with them.
Right. And Yaesu, for those who don't know, I'll give the phonetic spelling. It's Yankee Alpha Echo Sierra Uniform. I say again, Yankee Alpha Echo Sierra Uniform. And those are made in what country?
Those are made in Japan.
Japan. All right. Well,
now, some of them, they may come, I know some of Yaesu's equipment, some of it may come from China, but I maybe the microphone was made in China. I don't remember, John, but I'm almost positive that radio came from Japan. There's some other units that could be incorporated into this type of container as well. I know some people will use the FT857, which is a 100-watt mobile unit. The problem with a lot of these is, and it's not so much the transmit power, you can turn them down, but even when you turn down the transmit power, they still draw an immense amount of current from the battery, so that's not good. Although a lot of those higher power mobile units have been used for portable operation on battery, it's not quite as efficient as it could be. And then on receive, many of them will draw as much as 2 amps from the battery pack on receive. And that might even be without receiving a signal. With the sound turned down, they still draw quite a bit of current. It would take the batteries down quickly.
I was going to say, and that's the drawback. These radios with the heavy amps to them, watts, I should say, they draw down the battery really, really fast. And in a tactical situation, you don't want that, because you're going to end up either not using the radio when you should, or draining down the battery, not having a battery, or carrying the extra weight of extra batteries, which adds to all kinds of logistical issues, especially if you're on foot. So going with 5 watts is really the way to go, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. And now the nice part about this 817 Yaesu radio is that it covers not only all of the shortwave bands, all of the HF ham radio bands, it also covers the UHF and VHF bands. So you can operate with FM, point to point if you want, which is called simplex, or go through a 2-meter type repeater, or use them in any way that would typically be used on VHF bands with FM. And you can also operate single sideband on 2 meters if you wanted to. And I remember maybe it was last week, Tony called in. Is he North Dakota or South Dakota? He's up north of us, John, and he called in talking about how they were operating single sideband on 2 meters, and that is an excellent mode of operation. You know, for weak signal work, single sideband gets through the best. FM would be my last choice if the signals are very weak, because it gets so noisy you can't hear them. You hear more of the noise than the signal. You can tell they're there, but you can't really get any intelligible content out of it. While single sideband is typically used for military traffic because of its incredible, power to get through. It just works the best. And for weak signal work, of course, is what we're talking about. Now, the reason for the 5 watts is the extended battery life between charges. You could also set these up with a solar panel. You could get one of these fold-down solar panels and carry it along, and while you're operating, while you're in a receive mode especially, your batteries will be getting a charge. And you only use a lot of current when you transmit. That's when you use the most current. And the mode of operation it uses the absolute top current, the maximum current, is FM. If you're operating on a single sideband or even AM, it's a little bit less. You don't use quite as much current as FM. FM is like just turning the transmitter on, and whether you talk or not, it's using maximum current. Single sideband only draws a lot of current on voice peaks when you're actually talking. So that helps a lot.
Well, this is a $700 radio, shipping included. So it's a very serious piece of professional grade equipment, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. They're very small. You can hold it in the palm of your hand. I mean, it's maybe I'm going to say 6 inches wide, about 8 inches long, 8.5 inches long if that, and then about 1.5 inches thick. Something
yeah,
like
I was going to say about 1.5 inches thick there. That sounds about right.
It's got a small digital readout, and you can. And a nice thing about it is it has a voltage indicator on the front panel. So if you're operating portable like this out in the field, a tactical situation or what have you, you can monitor your battery voltage. This thing will operate down to, I think it's 9.6 volts. It'll operate as low as around 9.5 volts or so. While it will also operate just fine at 12 volts. I operate mine off 12-volt batteries. There's an internal battery pack that comes with it, but it's a real joke. You don't get much life out of it at all. But if you wanted to try it with the internal battery pack, that radio in the palm of your hand is the whole setup. That, the antenna and microphone, you're ready to go. But you're not going to get much life out of that internal battery pack. So that's why the portable radio cases is something I've really been kicking around for a long time. There's John, the military systems that are used out in the field, the HF systems made by Harris and some of the others, they typically use 20 watts of power. Some of them will have a low power switch. You can switch to 5 watts or operate full power at 20 watts. And then some of those will even be hooked up with a power amplifier if it's used in a vehicle, and they'll operate at about 125 watts. But out in the field, most of the military did plenty of testing with this, and they determined that 20 watts is all that's needed for excellent communications over a wide area.
Hold that thought, Tom. We've got a break. Call number's 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. That toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman. are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 26th of January. Quick reminder, if you need hemp oil to help you with some of your health-related situations, hemp oil, CBD oil, check out the Canaway line of products there at my website at libertyman.com. Visiting with Tom Berryhill, we're talking about emergency survival communications. Tom, we got a caller on hold. Before we get to our caller, I'm at the Yazoo website here. The ND, November Delta version of the FT817, it has the upgrades include coverage of the 60-meter or 5 megahertz band, and also that's the one with the battery and battery charger. That's the difference there. So,
okay. That 60-meter band is important. That's the only situation in all of ham radio where we're restricted to actual channels, where you have to be on a specific exact frequency. I think there's 5 or 6 channels there, which is kind of good in a way because it locks everybody into one spot, and you don't have to worry about adjacent channel interference. Everybody's right there, and for a tactical situation, those would be very good frequencies to use. There's, but the ham operators are there on a secondary basis. The government stations operate on those same frequencies, so if they come on the air and tell you to vacate the frequency, you have to leave. You could certainly listen, but you'd have to. Yeah, it is shared with government stations. Yes.
Okay, might be an interesting place to hang out and monitor. Our caller here is Glenn in Philadelphia. Good morning, Glenn. Glenn, are you there?
Oh, my thunder. Good morning, John. Good morning, Tom. John, you stole my thunder. I was going to tell Tom that there's an extensive Wikipedia article on that radio. You got it from the Yazoo site. Yeah, it's 5 channels. It came out in 2004 by the Japanese Vertex Standard Corporation. And from what you're describing about the dimensions, it sounds about the size of a CB. And I'm thinking that you could easily mount a slider mount on that radio and have a mount in your car that you could just snap it into, or slide it off of there and mount it onto the battery pack in the backpack. But if you're going to have a backpack with an antenna on it, you may as well also have a sticker on it that says "Shoot me."
That's the truth, isn't it?
Well, you have to be discreet. You have to be discreet. Here's the actual dimensions: 5.3 inches by 6.5 inches by 1.5 inch. That's pretty small. It would handily fit in the palm of your hand.
Right. And for QRP, I'm kind of wondering, harkening back to the CB days, if a 2 or 3 dB powered preamp microphone might not be a good idea. Make sure you're filling up the whole amplitude of that low power signal with audio gain.
That radio may have a compressor circuit in there. I don't remember. I bought 2 of them, and mainly to have one here because I figured I may end up building a prototype case, and the radio would go with it when I sold it. I never really operated them that much. I used it mainly as a receiver. One of them, the other one's still brand new in the box, and I was more interested in just hearing how it worked. I only transmitted a few times with it. And it may have a speech compressor. I just don't remember, Glenn. But that is a very nice unit. A big problem with some of the newcomers that get on the ham bands is they buy these rigs with all kinds of knobs and controls on there, and they don't have a clue as to what half of it does. And they see this thing called microphone preamp or compression level, and they just start turning the knobs all the way up. They just figure that every little bit makes it better. And that's not always
they're overdriven.
Yes, and then and then you cause interference on adjacent frequencies. It's not the best thing to do. You really do need to monitor your signal with another receiver when you initially get your system set up, and listen to it.
Right.
Maybe have somebody else record it and play it back to you, and get all these adjustments just right. I use a communication service monitor to watch this, and then the proper way to test the single sideband transmitter is to use a 2-tone generator. and set up the waveform so it looks perfect.
Hold that thought, Tom. Hold that thought. We have a break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 26th of January. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. You'll see a new banner there on my website promoting the Hear the Watchman event in Dallas, Texas, March 22nd to the 25th. I'll be the keynote speaker there and look forward to seeing a lot of you there. Of course, also my website are energy cleaners. And we had our postcard drawing yesterday, and Kent in Camdenton had his card drawn. I talked to Kent yesterday, and he's already bought 5 energy cleaners. And this one that his postcard was drawn yesterday, that one is going to go to one of his sons who needs some relief. So the energy cleaner we're finding is getting lots of repeat business, men and women who have gotten excellent results from the first one, and we're finding they're buying the second, third, fourth, fifth ones, even more than that, as they take care of the people that they care about. So what are they doing that you're not? Well, what are they doing? They're getting a good night's sleep. They're waking up pain-free in the morning, just like I do. What are you waiting for? Get yourself an energy cleaner. Take care of that arthritis pain, that joint pain, that back pain. Get yourself a good night's sleep and wake up with more energy the next morning. And ladies, a stronger libido for that special man in your life. How about that? Only $285, shipping included to American zip codes. I do take PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online, MasterCard, Visa. You need to send me a check? I'll send me a check. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. Keep in mind that for the beginning 26 days ago, I'm now offering a 90-day money-back guarantee. How about that? You're risking nothing when you get an energy cleaner. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads to go with them. And here's my toll-free order line, 24 hours a day, twice, slowly, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Tom Berryhill, we're talking about emergency survival communications. And we still have Glenn held over from the last segment there. Glenn, what's your final comment before we move on, sir?
Yeah, I think that's what it looks to me, Tom, like the ND version there has the improved field effect transistors in the final amplifier stage. The original 817 apparently had some trouble where if you operated it with a weak battery, it would destabilize and damage the transistors in the final. So that one doesn't even require a modification, I don't think, from what I'm reading.
Yeah, that could be. I know there was something with that power amplifier that they changed and improved. And of course, John mentioned the 60-meter band, those 5 channels. I think mine doesn't. I don't think it has that. I bought it in about 2013, so it's not in there. I don't think it could be, but don't remember.
If it's an ND, they started making them in 2004, so it should have that. Should have.
Okay, good. Well,
channel.
Anyway, I think that's important to make sure you can operate on those 60-meter channels. That's really important for any kind of serious situation that we could be involved in, and you needed communications in your area and over a wide area. That's what's really nice about using a system like this is it's low power, so it can operate for an incredible period of time off of even like a car battery could operate it for many, many days, maybe even a week or week and a half, something like that. It'd go for quite a while. And then internal batteries in a backpack type of setup could easily go for a day or two before you had to recharge. And if you had one of those fold-up solar panels, you could put that out during the day and recharge those batteries and operate indefinitely. It's very lightweight, and with these new batteries, lithium-type batteries, they're very small with a really big power density for the size, and that's a really good way to set all this up. Until they catch on fire.
I say lithium-schmithium. Get yourself a nice motorcycle battery and wire up a cigarette lighter socket, and you can get all different size, 12-volt lead-acid batteries with the gel cells that'd be safe to carry around in a backpack. And then,
well, Glenn, the first unit I made had a 10 amp hour sealed lead-acid battery, and you will be the man that carries that unit out in the field. We'll have you carry it.
Yep.
Okay,
exactly.
Glenn,
all right,
Glenn,
Tom, thank you. Bye-bye.
We appreciate it. Next, we go to Dan in Missouri. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. Needless to say, having communications is of the utmost importance. And, all of these units they've got today, they're pretty much all solid state, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's true, yes.
So that means they would be susceptible to EMP, correct?
Very true, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you want to have one of these units for emergency sake, it needs to be sealed up like yesterday in a cage, right?
That's right.
Dan, that's
and then
why
you
I have
jerk
two
it
of
out
those.
after it all hits the fan.
That's right.
Okay,
that's why
here's
the
point I'm getting to. Talking to each other is amazing and wonderful, and that would keep your morale up and let you know who the bad guys are maybe and which way they're coming from. But, like, every day I listen to RBN, and I usually pick up something, whether I can remember it or not, it's another story, but I pick up information, and it doesn't really direct my life, but it sure does kind of stabilize it and let me know where things are coming from. If we end up with some kind of a major collapse, the lifeline called RBN won't be there anymore, pretty much. Is that right?
We expect not. Well, that's true.
Well, has RBN thought about getting some kind of I'll ask Tom, if RBN wanted to go back on the air on shortwave, how much money would they have to spend to squirrel away a unit so that within a week or two of it all hitting the fan, they can be up and broadcasting on shortwave and keeping us all connected that way? How much money would RBN have to spend to do that? Give me a ballpark.
Anywhere from very little to many thousands. Depends on what they want to do. If they want to, and are they going to obtain an FCC license? I mean,
Oh, forget that.
Okay,
FCC's
to just go on, well, I know people that have purchased the older tube type broadcast transmitters, all the new AM transmitters and all that. They've all been replaced for the most part by solid state units, and these stations will get rid of the tube type unit. Now, these can be anywhere from 1,000 to many thousands of watts. Typically, 1,000 to 5,000 watts for some of these smaller AM stations, and a radio like that or a transmitter like that could be pretty handy to have. Sometimes you can pick those up for hauling it off. Then you have to set up an antenna system. Now, if you went by the rules and got it licensed and everything, you'd have to set up a 50 kilowatt station. The broadcasting on shortwave is at 50 kilowatts. You can't just put on a 1,000 watt transmitter. But now, if you want to do it by just, after a catastrophic event like what we're perhaps talking about, I think anything would fly. You just put it on, because I don't know if anybody'd be around to tell you not to do it. In fact, you might become the hero for actually having something like that on the air. But it would take a large... Now, it could be done with ham radio equipment if you wanted to operate on single sideband. The most efficient way to transmit AM, and single sideband is a form of AM, but the most efficient way is with single sideband. As a matter of fact, I have equipment here that I could put. The amplifier will actually operate at 2.5 kilowatts. So I could put a 2,500 watt station on the air on single sideband in a very short period of time, maybe a day or two, get it set up.
And how much money would be needed to do that?
I'll tell you exactly how much. The radio itself was around $1,500. You can get a much smaller one for maybe even some used equipment for $500-600, and that would be to originate the signal. And then you would feed that into this amplifier, and it will operate, not legally, but it will operate at 2.5 kilowatts peak power. So
I don't think it's going to be a problem if the country completely falls apart. And I'm hoping it don't.
Okay, now that amplifier, I bought that amplifier used. It's like new, and it's a 10-tech amplifier. 420. I think it's a 10-tech. Yeah, 10-tech 425. If I remember right. That's the model number. I bought it just to have it, and I've never put it on the air yet. I did buy it from a ham I've known for many years, and he assured me it works. He's an electrical engineer and really knows his stuff. And he was using it, and he decided to go with a solid-state amplifier, so he sold that one to me. I paid $1,500 for it, right in that range, and it will operate. That's really pushing it, though, but it will operate at 2.5 kilowatts, but at 1,500 watts, which is 1.5 kilowatts is the maximum for ham operators. It will do that all day. With no
and what kind of power source are you going to have for that if everything hits the fan?
It will. You can set it up for 120 volts, but really, with that kind of load, you really need to set it up with a 220 volt AC power. So you could do it with a generator if you had to. I mean, you really could, but this is not something.
It seems to me like
just throw it together. You got to do some planning to set something like this up, and then the antenna system. You have to pick the frequencies during the day. You want to operate maybe on some higher frequencies. At nighttime, you want to operate on lower frequencies. So you have to plan this. With the antenna sizes are rather large for a system like this. Now, you can do it with wire antennas. I'm not talking about huge towers and all this. You can actually string up wire antennas, but you have to have the length of the antenna exact for the frequency you're going to operate on, or you have to have an antenna coupler or tuner that'll adjust for any differences to get it fine-tuned. And then you have to know what all these settings are so you can change the thing day and night. And that would take a little bit of effort and some skills, some operator skills.
Oh, I can imagine. So,
but it could be set up. And by the way, it has been done. And there were plenty of pirate stations that operated right below the 40-meter ham band, around 6.9 megahertz. I've heard them on there before, and they get away with it. So it is done, and some of them are only running a few hundred watts, and I could hear them perfectly here in Missouri. And they may have been up north on either coast. It doesn't matter. You can still hear them, especially at night. It works the best at night at that frequency.
Well, I was just thinking, RBN's a real lifeline for me. It's been an education, to say the least, in almost all ways. But for them to be gone, of course, I guess it'd be hard for everybody to call in and all the different broadcasters to call in, because that's the way they all get together, right?
Right.
Well,
we use the internet. Yeah. Skype.
Right.
It probably has been discussed. I'm sure John Stettmiller has sat down with his crew and others and discussed some of these situations and what they would have to do, it does take some planning. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. And, John, you know that. I mean, disaster planning and all that, you know what's involved. And
Right.
But it probably would be wise to talk to John Stetmiller about this and see if they have made preparations. And if I'm sure they've thought about it and looked into it, but maybe pursue this a little bit more and try to come up with a backup plan if something like this ever happens. Because I agree, Dan, it is Republic Broadcasting as a resource that should never be allowed to go dark.
You know, with all the listeners that there are out there, and you're saying what, John, 5 to 20,000? What's your estimated number for people listening to RBN?
Oh, I don't know total numbers. I don't have a clue what they are.
You know, if everybody just send in a couple of bucks, if everybody, I mean, nothing. That's not even a stinking coffee anymore, and I don't even like coffee. So if everybody would send in a couple of bucks just for that purpose, to give them a backup system that could be squirreled away into a Faraday cage so that if we ever needed it, we could jerk it out. Of course, like you said, it has to be planned. You'd have to have somebody, skilled in operating it, but I think that would come around. But I'd sure love to see a special fund to make sure there's a backup system waiting if we ever needed it.
Well, it would be not too difficult to get the equipment that would put them on the frequency of their choice with even with low power, and then an amplifier to connect with it. And if they really wanted to make it work in the most efficient manner, then they would use single sideband. And that's why, John, you've heard me say this numerous times.
Right.
If you get a shortwave receiver, make sure it has the single sideband capabilities. This will allow you to listen to the ham operators because very few of them operate AM anymore. And I'm talking now the shortwave bands. And this would allow the listener to, if Republic Broadcasting and other broadcasters did similar things, they would be on the air. And this would conserve power as well because an AM station, it takes a lot of generator power or batteries or whatever you're using for a power source, takes a lot of it to keep it on the air, whereas single sideband is drawing very little power when you're not talking. So in between voice peaks, the power draw is minimal. And that might not seem like a lot, but it really adds up quickly, and you'll get a lot of extended use out of your battery power or your generator fuel and so on. It's really important to take that into consideration. So anybody listening that's thinking about getting a shortwave radio, make certain that it has single sideband capabilities, and someday in the future you may be very glad you did it that way.
Okay. Dan, we have some good thoughts you stimulated there. We appreciate the call. Anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to see if we could get something going to see if people are interested in donating just for that purpose. A GoFundMe thing. I don't know what you call it, but let's see if people will call in and let RBN know that they're willing to fund this little project. And if enough people would do it, it wouldn't take many dollars at all from each person, would it, Tom?
No, not really. I'll tell you a system that I could put together really quick, and it would be tube type. Well, we'll wait till after the break.
We got a break. We got a few minutes after the break. Stay tuned, everybody. Here, Tom, let's see if we can conclude your thoughts before the hour is up here.
Okay, I have some older equipment made by the R.L. Drake Company. It was made in near Dayton, Ohio, Miamisburg, Ohio, and It is tube type. That transmitter will put out almost 200 watts, and it can be crystal controlled. Now, that's very important. This way you could obtain crystals that put you on a specific frequency, and then the operator would only have to change that crystal frequency between day and night frequencies, and then feed that into and many of these amplifiers that could be used with that transmitter, many of them are tube type. Only the real new ones are solid state, and they're very expensive. I'd say 90% of the amplifiers out there that would boost that signal up to a really large power level will be tube type. And so there'd be no problems with EMP with this type of equipment. And this way you could easily set up a system. It would be single sideband. That Drake transmitter is capable of AM, but at a much lower level. And the amplifier could also amplify that signal, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's best to operate with single sideband with this tube type of equipment. And I'm thinking maybe the transmitter can be had for $250 to $350 for a nice one, somewhere in that range. And then you need a power supply that goes with it, about $100. And then the amplifier would be the expensive part. It could be anywhere from maybe $1,000 to $2,000, $2,500, somewhere in that range for a good used one. Then you'd have your antenna cost, maybe a few hundred, $200 or $300 for everything needed for the antenna. There's your total cost. And I'm
well, Tom, why don't you and I and Dan talk privately about putting together
That'd
a package for RBN and see if we can get something set up. Dan, we'll be talking privately with you and
let's talk at that next meetup.
Let's do that. Maybe Tom might make a trip down to Raleigh.
That'd be if I'll do Thursday. It, John, I'll be there.
Next Thursday. Next Thursday.
Super. You need to be in Texas too, Tom.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Thanks,
well,
guys.
Thanks
so much.
Thank you. Appreciate the call. Tom, thank you for being with us. And I'm down to only 3 or 4 energy cleaners already, Tom. So,
John, I've always told you I work best under pressure, and you've just applied some pressure.
Okay. I'll be out by Monday morning, I know. So, okay thank you. Appreciate the call. Thank you. All right. That was a great first hour. We have a plan to get a complete shortwave setup for Republic Broadcasting to continue operations after an EMP event or after a grid down situation, whatever it might be. And I've got my own thoughts on this that I'll be sharing with Tom and Dan there to see what we can put together for Republic Broadcasting. And then, of course, we'll need funding to make it happen. But it'll be very comprehensive and very workable and very doable. So we got top of the hour break coming up here momentarily. We should have Dr. Phil Myers with us, and we'll have our health tip of the week from Dr. Myers. And I'm sure we'll be learning about some things about health from Dr. Myers. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Friday, the 26th of January. Prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to get gas masks for every member of your team. It's probably one of the least fun things to spend money on that I can imagine, on one hand. On the other, if you need one and don't have it, well, you may never need one again. It could be that important. There are some gas masks listed for sale on my website under John's Survival and Tactical Gear. Nothing's really organized the way it should be there. You just have to keep scrolling down until you get to the gas mask, and all the gas masks and filters are clustered together there. That's your prepper tip of the day. Well, it looks like Dr. Myers has not called in yet. If and or when he does, we will have Dr. Myers on with us, and he may have got stuck in traffic. We simply don't know. So we'll go straight to open lines at 800-313-9443. The event in Texas that I'll be speaking at, the Iron Sharpens Iron, here, the Watchman event, that will be in Texas in March the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th. Be a lot of fun. There's a lot of well-known speakers. I will be the keynote speaker and John B. Weld, Lisa Haven, Josh Tolley, and so forth. It looks like Dr. Phil is connected. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, John. How are you this morning?
Really good, sir. Well, we got a beautiful midwinter day here, sunny and high in the mid-50s. Yesterday, it was high in the mid-60s, and, of course, I had my motorcycle out. Well, Doctor, everybody's anxiously waiting to hear what the health tip of the week is going to be.
Oh, well, activity. Of all things, be active is the biggest health tip of the week.
And you're talking about physical activity, mental activity, both?
I guess we could just sum it all into activity, period. Let's just think of everybody that's listening right now. Think of what you normally do on a daily basis. Do you have some aspect of I hate the word exercise regime because the statement, because of what people think that is. So if you're a runner or a weight trainer or a yogi or a qigongist or a thumb flicker on the TV, I mean, just activity can exercise activity can be many things for many people. What I'm getting at is activity in a level that is beyond what you currently do. And what am I getting at is you need to shake it up. We need to start. The health tip of the week is do something completely different than what you normally do. If you're, for example, if you're a runner, then you need to be doing something different than running for your exercise. Not that you have to give up what you love, but you need to start doing something very different in order to express your body in a whole new way. The reason is we get programmed, and we get programmed by our experiences in life and what we become accustomed to. And then you end up using your strong suits over and over and over again, and we neglect our weaknesses more and more and more. And by doing that, now that can be very, very, very beneficial in so many ways. So I'm not dissing that approach at all, because some people never use their strong suits, and if they're doing anything outside of their normal life in trying to build up what they want to build up in terms of their strength ability, mentally, physically, whatever, that's a good thing. But at the same time, you must almost exploit your weaknesses so that those weaknesses can then become strong suits so that you benefit. So let me give you an example of what that looks like.
Please.
So in yogic practice, there's two basic guidelines that every yogi or everybody that does yoga or anybody that's going to go do yoga needs to know. One is always, always, always build from the ground up. If, for example, tree pose, which is you have one leg completely straight, locked, and secured into the ground, all your body weight is on that leg, completely and utterly, like it's solid, man. Then you take your other leg and bring it up around your knee, and you hold a position of posture and balance. You can have your arms in by your side. You can have them over your head. You can have them in a prayer position, prayer-looking way across your heart. many different positions. But the main thing with that is always, always, always build from the ground up. If at any point your foundation is falling, do not go to the next level until whatever position, posture, balance state that you're at can be supported by your stability leg. And so what a lot of people will do is they forget that foundation. They use different muscles and different effort strengths to then get their other leg to be more flexible, to get higher up into their groin, because that person whoever been doing yoga for such a period of time to my left, look at their posture, I can't do that. And then you try to force yourself into doing something that you're not even ready for because you completely lacked your foundation in building a weakness. Because our groundedness, our ability to have stable strength in our core is very, very weak, and most of us will go and do other things to compensate for that weakness by using strengths that, they get us places, but eventually can lead to injury. It's like, I have really great rotation in my shoulders. I have horrible rotation in my back, but they said lift my arm really, really high and then bring my arm behind my back. Well, then you're twisting and torquing your upper shoulders more because that's your strong suit, but then you completely lack the stability legs where your left leg should be locked, your right leg should be bent in a certain way, and you should be completely centered in your core, rotating at your pelvis to then rotate your shoulder open. Then guess what? Your arm goes right behind your back with ease. But we lack that ability because we wanted to use our strengths instead of focusing on the weaknesses and making them our strong suits. So that's the first thing. Always, always, always build from the ground up, making sure that no matter where it is, you get your strengths, you get those weaknesses stronger in those areas, so your ground can always be built up. Second thing, breathing. Breathing is so utterly important. Believe it or not, everybody, our breathing is a weak point in our society.
Explain that.
We breathe or we'd all be dead. However, that breathing that you're doing is pretty much automatic. It's unconscious. It's just going to do what it does for you, and you don't have to think about it. But then you're doing an activity, and you're focusing so much on either that activity or you go mindless and you're thinking about your groceries, you're thinking about the bills that you have to do, you're thinking about the deadline that you have to do, you're thinking about all these other things, and you're just going about the activity. Well, and you're thinking, okay, well, my body's breathing because I'm alive and I feel oxygen, but you're not technically focusing on the breath. Two things that one needs to do with any type of physical activity is build from the ground up, make sure that your posture and your stability is sound, and second, breathe and consciously and actively be focused on that breathing. And like I said, I think I said this last week or 2 weeks ago when we were talking about meditation, nobody is good at breathing and exploiting their weaknesses when you first start. It's hard. It's challenging. It's outside your box. However, those are essential key ingredients to living a healthier lifestyle. And so when I'm talking about the health tip of the week and being active, be mindful of building your ground and building your breath in whatever you do. And so if you're a person that, wow, you're wheelchair bound, or you can't technically be as active, you're stuck in a hospital bed because you got in a car accident or something, or you just had a colonoscopy and they nicked you, and so now you're stuck in a hospital bed or something like that, so you're not able to go and do the running or thing you want to do. Well, you're there lying in bed. So what are the things you can do to increase your activity level? One, you can build up your foundation by doing ankle rotation movements, pulling your toe back, pointing it forward, rotating it left, rotating it right, contracting your calf muscles, flexing your quad, getting your hamstrings tight and then relaxed, doing isotonic and isometric contractions of all your muscles of your body. And then what you'll notice as you're doing this, like, wow, this takes some effort here. It's like, oh, wow, I'm feeling out of breath. Well, that brought you to the awareness of you technically weren't breathing. You were letting your automatic breathing breathe for you, and it was very weak in the exertion of physical activity that you were just looking to do and were just doing. So now your awareness is on your breath. Okay, let me do all those same moves again while I'm focusing on making sure I don't lose my breath. And I'm consciously active in keeping that breath the same. Now, here's the cool part, what you'll notice. As you do that breathing, the activity that you were just doing seems a little harder. Well, why? Because you're no longer using effort. You're no longer using brute force. You're now using mindful connection. And when you do mindful connection, in the beginning, you notice weaknesses first. And then you can then build upon your weaknesses through awareness that then build into your strengths. And then guess what? Now you're even stronger, more agile, more flexible, and more mindful than you've been before in the past. So if you're a runner, same principles apply. You're a weight trainer, same principles apply. Yogi, same principles. It doesn't matter what you do. If you address those two core principles, you're gonna accelerate leaps and bounds in what you're doing. So that's one aspect of activity. The second aspect of activity is, for example, I do two or three basic type of systems. Now, I have power plates here at my office, which are vibrational gravity devices where I do all my workouts and stuff like that. But I use them for myself, two different ways. One, I use it for rehab, where I rehab my weaknesses, and I get them to get more blood supply, more circulation, more range of motion. And then the second thing that I use them for is strength and agility and ability, and where I'll do push-ups and planks and shoulder presses and whatever on the machine and accelerate my strength potential. That's one way. And then for my other quote-unquote activity, I do yoga and Tai Chi type of stuff. Now, when I'm doing my yoga and Tai Chi, it's a completely different mindset, a completely different agility aspect of my life when I'm doing my weight training. But here's the cool part. When I do my, I would say my Eastern type of practices, and then I go back to my weight training styles, oh my God, the next time I do my weight training, it's like, wow, it's so much differently. I have such a different awareness, and then vice versa.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We have a break. Call numbers 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 26th of January. I do private consultations and speaking engagements. You'd like me to come and speak to your family, your church, your group? All that information to how to do that is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We're visiting with Dr. Phil Myers. If you want to get started with Dr. Myers, call his office, set up that first private, no-charge consultation at 314-878-6868. Let's continue, Doctor.
So here's one of the biggest things with activity is in the past, you could, with good experience, go to a practitioner. And let's just group them all together. Your massage therapist, your acupuncture, your chiropractor, your osteopath, DCMD, it doesn't matter. And be a passive participant in the experience. Hey, so-and-so, I have XYZ problem. I'm going to tell you what that problem is, and I expect you, the professional, to fix it so that I can then go do the life that I've been continually doing and go live that life accordingly. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Fortunately and unfortunately for a lot of people, that doesn't work anymore, is to just go and be a passive participant in your own healing journey doesn't really work anymore. It really never did work, but the collective consciousness was holding that frequency and allowing that to be. Well, here's the thing, is the collective consciousness is not allowing that to be anymore. And to be a passive participant in your health and rehabilitation is no longer valid. You can get away with it for only a short period of time now, but eventually in some way, shape, or form, you yourself are going to need to take that responsibility for the reasons that you got into the position that you were in, whether it was an accident, somebody ran into you, you ran into somebody else, you neglected yourself, or you got neglected, which is kind of the same thing, and be a participant now in your healing journey. You no longer can actually just be passive anymore. We have to start taking that responsibility. We have to start changing the way we eat. We have to start changing the way we move. We have to start, and this is a lot of have-tos. And you get to do this because you're a human being, you're awesome, and you're amazing. However, right now, with the amount of resistance that's still stuck in the program, it becomes almost a have-to. And from practitioner standpoints, and almost all practitioners should be at this level right now, is realizing that the amazing acupuncture that they would do on their clients, the amazing physical spinal adjustments that you would do to your clients, the amazing muscle release techniques that you would do to your patients, the amazing workouts even that you would give to your patients. If at any point that person isn't taking their experience of what you just did with them to a level that they take responsibility for their life and actually use that energy now and change their life, nothing's going to really happen. And you'll in some people are okay with that. The world is telling you that the way everything's changing is that no longer serves us. We must start taking responsibility for what we're doing.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We have a break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the Energy Cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 26th of January. At my website at libertyman.com, you'll find how to have me come to your group and speak to your group, do a private consultation, or do a speaking engagement for your group, your church, your community group, whatever it might be. All there at my website at thelibertyman.com. Also at my website, of course, are energy cleaners. Everything's in stock right now, ready for immediate shipment. I got energy cleaners, I got mattress pads, and, well, what are you waiting for? I use mine every night. I just started my workout routine this past Monday. My stretching, the things I've been doing as a runner for many, many decades, stretching, crunches, and push-ups, and it feels great. And you can get the same situation that I have with your energy cleaner, helping you to wake up pain-free in the morning. Only $285, shipping included, American zip codes. Most people are getting a mattress pad right at the get-go with the energy cleaner. Everything's right there for sale at my website at thelibertyman.com. I do take PayPal, the most secure way to make any payment online. And by the way, PayPal now takes payments if you need to spread that dollar amount out over several months. I have a 90-day money-back guarantee, so you're risking nothing when you get an energy cleaner, and I have a toll-free order line. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Dr. Phil Myers. If you want to get started with Dr. Myers, well, just call his office, set that first private, no-charge consultation at 314-878-6868. Let's continue, Doctor.
So, I mean, at this point, does that make a lot of sense? Does anybody have any questions, thoughts, concerns, objections to how one would take adding more activity into their life? Give us a call. Because, again, this is your show instead of me just jabbing this whole time. And John, do you have any specific questions on that topic?
Well, I do. As I mentioned just a minute ago, I started my own workout regimen this past Monday. I do the stretching, and stretching is very frequently overlooked, and it's not optional. I feel the stretching is every bit as important as anything else, whether I'm walking or running or doing the other parts of my regimen, which include the crunches and the push-ups. Stretching is not optional, isn't it, Doctor?
No, it's actually it's not an option. It's actually quite beneficial. Now, one of the things with stretching is breathing, because technically you're actually not stretching something. What you're doing is you're holding it into a position. And what you feel in terms of the resistance to going further into the stretch, quote unquote, is the contraction that the muscles have, that they're holding on to this behavior that they've held on for a long time, and now you're saying, hey, I'm going to go do this move. Well, your body's like, well, dude, you never do that. So I'm gonna hold on for dear life because you're doing something that's really weird. So what's beneficial when you do stretching is to really get the breath in, because as you breathe, the muscle relaxes and contracts, relaxes and contracts within its tonicity of that initial contraction it has. And when it does, when it opens and closes and opens and closes in that state of its normal tone, it releases information to the ligaments and tendons that go from the muscle to the bone and then the surrounding connections of those joints. And so as you breathe in and out and you slowly fall into that stretch, your body lets go. And then what you also want to do is, instead of holding a static or a one-dimensional position, like, for example, let's just say you're doing a hamstring stretch, simple and easy. Pull your toes up towards your head, lock your knee out, pull the 4 quad muscles that go from your kneecap up to your pelvis, and pull those up. What you're doing is you're creating an opening for all the different muscles to release. And then as you breathe in, that tension that you feel is actually a chemical reaction from a chemical standpoint of lactic acid. And as you breathe in and out, your body utilizes bicarbonate and neutralizes that lactic acid buildup that had been in those tissues that you're feeling holding you into that contraction or lack of flexibility. So again, that's going back to the initial thing that we were talking about, is breathing with activity. And you'll notice a huge change when you start doing that.
So that's what that pain is. That's a chemical reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's two aspects of it. It's the chemical reaction, and like Moshe Feldenkrais, back in the 60s, said, where's the rust? Is the rust in your joints, or is the rust in your mind? And when you start breathing with these stretches, what's the other thing that you're doing is the mind is becoming less spastic. It's not wandering so many different ways. It's focusing on a task, and in that, it's relaxing. Your cortisol levels go down, your human growth hormone potential goes up, your insulin levels get balanced, your alkalinity is your acidity alkalinity chemicals become more neutralized, and your body lets go biochemically, physically, and emotionally. And as you do that, you're really letting go. And then what I would do afterwards is, let's say you do the hamstrings, then go immediately to the opposite systems. Do the quads. See what it's like to have the quads being stretched while you contract the hamstrings and settle into your pelvis. Now, for people that do these types of moves, that made a lot of sense. For people that have never done anything like that, they're like, I don't even know how to follow that. Well, that just goes to show you that that's some type of activity that you need to start expressing yourself at and becoming self-aware of your own human body. One of the biggest things that's happened is we've just got so from many generation after generation after generation, we've lost connection with ourselves. For whatever reasons, for however it is, we just have completely lost touch with how our bodies are supposed to work. And then if you go doing what would be considered normal body activity, and you're like, oh my God, I can't, it's like that's difficult to even do. Well, that's how out of shape the world is. We are literally an out of shape race. The entire human race is collectively very, very, very out of shape. And there's many different ways to express that change that we want to do. But at the same time, it's not just about going and lifting weights, or about running, or about doing yoga, or about doing Pilates, or about doing the new version of Pilates / yoga / weight training / fitness training. I mean, there's so many different variables. It goes back into challenging yourself in wherever you are to exploit your weaknesses and build up your stamina to move yourself out of the life that you're currently living, whether it's an amazing life or you believe to be a really, like, God has it out for me type of life. But either way, you participating in your activity empowers your own system, so that you then are more empowered in what you're doing, or now you finally realize, oh my God, I'm the empowered person. God had nothing to do with it, except to have created everything around me, and it gave me the opportunity to do exactly what I just did. And look how great, look how supported I was in that entire process. Completely changes your mindset.
Right.
And that's the important thing, is this type of activity really pushes you and challenges you in all aspects of life. But if you just go and you're just living day to day, hour to hour, month to month, oh yeah, it's 2018. Oh man, I thought it was 2016. I completely just missed an entire year. Like, what happened? You weren't participating. You weren't involved in your life. You were letting life just run, because time will go. Time is just going to go, and time's just going to do what it is. But if you're participating in time, letting go of the memories of the past, then time doesn't take a hold of you anymore. You're in charge of what's happening to you in the moment. And guess what? Life lasts a lot longer, and also with that longer is more amazing, more freedom, or freedom itself, healthier. It's just so many adjuncts. Because people get, like, when you start talking about, like, oh, you get to live longer or more of this and that, it's like I don't want to live longer. I'm tired of the way my life is. Well, of course you are. Who wants to live a longer life if your life sucks?
Right.
But who's in charge of that? You are. Nobody outside. No, even winning the lottery. You know how many times people win the lottery and within less than a couple of years they're broke and actually worse off than they were before they won the lottery?
Oh yes, that happens all the time.
All the time. Well, why is that? Is it the lottery's fault? No.
Hardly.
It's you never changed your programming. The same energy that brought you that amazing gift, you didn't use it properly or change the way things happen, and you end up utilizing the same mind instead of changing your activity and changing your mind. Like I said, what did Moshe say? Where's the rust? In the joints or in your mind? And if you're going into your activity saying, oh, I have to do this, or I have to do this, or I have to do all these different types of things because this, that, or the other person does them way better, and I got to be better than them, well, that's... Remember I don't know if you remember this, or a lot of people do, but the Dan and Dave thing in the Olympics that was back in the 90s?
Not really. What event was it?
There was this huge thing. I think it was Nike or Reebok that was promoting the Dan and Dave. They were part of the triathlons, the triathlete aspect of the Olympics. And Dan and Dave, these two guys, were like the top of the top. And this whole thing got so big that it got into like, who's going to win, Dan or Dave? Dan or Dave? And it got into Dan and Dave's heads. And instead of Dan and Dave being the athletes and the amazing performers that they are for the Olympics, they got into this competition with each other, and both of them pulled up lame.
Amazing.
It has nothing to do with the other people in your life. It has all to do with yourself and your activity. And the health tip of the week is challenge yourself to do something different. If you're a runner, do yoga. If you're a yogi, do running. If you do weight training, do Tai Chi. If you do Tai Chi, try something different. Shake things up. Move stuff around. I mean, you can just be just as active as you want, and just clearing your space. Go clean the corners of of every nook and cranny of your house. Get those dust balls out of your house, out of your apartment, or wherever you're living. Be active in your life. And being active in your life doesn't necessarily mean you have to go be physically, quote-unquote, active in sports enhancement performance type of work, but it also means being active in getting your muscles, your bones, your ligaments, and your tendons to do something different. Because your mind and your body's only going to do what you know. And that goes, and I've said this a billion times, like when we talk about nutrition. Nutrition is only going to take you as far as your nervous system will allow it, and your activity is what that's based upon. If you're sedentary, if you're not doing certain things in certain ways, your nutrition is only going to go as far as that energy system. But if you change it up, if you move things around, then your nutrition is going to be based upon that energy field. And so if you want to change stuff up, don't just go buy $5,000 worth of supplements thinking that's going to fix your problem. Spend $5,000 of energy changing your life, and then 2 cents in the supplements, and then guess what? Your whole life's changed, and you're better for it.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We got our last break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Friday the 26th of January. If you want to get started with Dr. Myers, all you got to do is call his office, set up that first private no-charge consultation. Call his office at 314-878-6868. We got about 3 minutes here, Doctor.
So what we do during that consultation is we really start getting down into what do you want to accomplish, and we start slowly in terms of then finding that out, and then we take you through a series of movements and exercises to find what your ability and agility is in terms of your full body's potential. We look at your energy systems through the acupuncture system. We look at how well your body metabolizes and digests food to create the ability to heal tissues and connective tissue. To get better glucose and information to your brain so you can have clear and concise thoughts, whether you have any type of whatever symptoms of the mind. And we slowly and surely start putting together a program that works for you, that is going to challenge you and is going to take you to a level that is fully transformative. And within our practice model at my office, it's all about transformation. And so being that transformation for yourself and for your environment and for your family and for your friends, and more specifically for yourself, is what we are here to do and support you in that growth and potential. And like I said, it's not a passive thing. You don't just come here and just lie here on your table. You're involved. You're thinking things through. We're having conversations. We're showing you where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are. Why is that low back pain always there since I was because it hasn't been healing. Okay, well, what is it that's not healing? We'll show you how to get that healing back into your body. So there's many things that happen with from that consultation, and it doesn't matter if you're away out of St. Louis remotely or in the St. Louis area. We can do so many different things for you in terms of coaching and physical things and energetic things. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can participate.
All right. Well, that's good to know. It's easy, it's non-threatening, and anybody can participate. That doesn't get any better than that, Doctor.
Exactly.
Okay.
It is. It's very easy. It's just all it takes is your participation and you saying to yourself, I am choosing something different. And I'm choosing me first is the most important part.
All right. That's what people need to do. Put themselves first and go for it.
Mm-hmm. So the health tip of the week, be active. Do something different.
Doctor, thank you, sir. Appreciate you being with us. Look forward to having you back next Friday.
You too.
Okay, that's it for the day. That's it for the week. Get your medical supplies, energy, clean your essential oils now while you can. Your firearms and ammunition. Never, ever give up your guns. Please do a fun, safe, productive day and weekend. See you Monday morning, and God bless America.